Hello everybody, this is Andy, and welcome to episode 23 of Omnifactory. Okay, and first things first, I actually lost maybe the first 5 minutes of this recording. Not a whole ton happened, but I did go to space, and I did set up a lunar mining station, and now there's no footage of that, because it's just kind of gone. But let's go to space, and let me show you what we got set up. Okay, and I guess I'm gonna die. But here's our lunar mining station, really quickly. It's just powered with these interdimensional transceivers, and done through a crafting cart. I'm gonna die. What I was trying to say is that the things that are required by the lunar mining station are given to it by a crafting card and an interdimensional transceiver. I have those set up over there. Also, I've done a little bit of decorating in between videos, but I'll show that off in just a little bit. So let me go get our stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to make it through this time. Okay, we'll do this, and then we'll go home. Alright, so seems like we survived. And, oh man. Actually, wait, this isn't new. These things are starting to fill up. I might need to make more IMI drives soon. I think it's more types than anything. No, this one's actually bytes. Huh. Interesting. We have a lot of types of different stuff. But first things first, let me show you what has changed in the base. A little bit of decorating has been started. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but I will keep going eventually, and we'll find something that works well. I've also almost entirely moved over to using these IMI conduits and covered cables. I find that they look a lot better and they make my systems a lot more compact. So I spent like an hour and a half changing out all of the cables in the base, or at least most of them. I've probably missed a few, and the ones that are in the ceiling, those are going to stay glass cables. But I feel like this just looks a lot more industrial and like something's happening. Let's also go take a look at our IV and LUV place. I've done the same here. It just looks a little bit less purple, and I think that's a great thing. I've also set up this right here and this right here. These are the distributed systems that I said I was going to upgrade a couple episodes ago, and then I never did. We have wire mills, macerators, and compressors, and lathes. Lathes are the most important thing because they're the ones that were the slowest. So now we have very, very fast of all four of those things. Like we were sending helium here before, or the helium-3 here before, we're now sending it with the same ender tank using the lunar mining station up on the moon, and this thing is going to run full-time. Or, well, it runs almost full-time. It can run full-time. I think those are the words that I'm looking for. We're creating this oxygen plasma, and this oxygen plasma is going into our outside place, and it's getting sent into the 16, because that's the maximum that it can have, 16 large plasma turbines, and it creates slightly more energy, I think. What's wrong with you? Oh, your animation's not working. Okay. Okay? Yeah, okay. Wait. You guys aren't working either. You know, maybe these things don't void energy. I was fairly confident that these things just kind of void energy if they don't need it, or if they can't, like, shove it anywhere. But maybe they don't. Maybe this thing is efficient. That's pretty cool, actually. So maybe we could technically run 16, more than 16 on one lunar mining station and one Mark 1 fusion reactor thing, but we're going to stick with 16 because it can run full uptime on all 16 of these and provide our base with 2.7 million RF per tick, which is a couple. In fact, it is so much that I'm quite simply not getting power from anywhere else right now. Well, actually, I guess I'm getting a couple 100,000 RF per tick from the diesel engines I have down there because those are still running, but I took out all of our numismatic dynamos because they were just sucking up diamonds, and I simply didn't need it, really. We basically quadrupled our RF production with these guys right here, and I think I'm going to add another one soon, so we'll have like 5 million RF per tick, just a little over 5 million RF per tick. That'd be pretty fast. Well, it wouldn't be pretty fast. It'd be a lot of power, and we won't grow into that for a while. However, let's grow into it a little bit more right now. First things first, let's consider a couple new machines, the ZPM assembling machine and the ZPM compressor. Those require the tier 8 circuits, which I crafted up one in between episodes. I was able to craft them last episode. There was just a little recipe conflict, and for some reason crystal teen ingots weren't able to be crafted. However, now we can just have them. So I've already crafted up 2. So if I said, I don't remember, did I set up a recipe? No. I need to go set up recipes for those 2 things, and then we can come back and put them to use. Okay, that was a little bit more pattern entering than I expected. I had to put in all of the stuff for like the assembly line and all that kind of stuff, which is not the most fun and also a lot of work, and I'm gonna have to change them all out when things change, like with circuits and stuff. However, we should be good to go, except for magnetic neodymium rod. I think I disconnected something when I was changing over cables. Let me go check on that. Ah, yes, I found the culprit. I have cable anchors here, so it's not transferring the actual wire through here. I thought it was. I thought these were connected. My issue, and there we go. Everything should be nice and dandy. Now, the main problem is I have 2 recipes for small coils, so let's go ahead and remove one of those, and it's this one. Now we should be good to go to order the ZPM assembling machine, and let's start. Just looking at it, I think this guy might take a little bit of time. Fine platinum wire doesn't scare me. Platinum wire doesn't scare me. The only thing that is actually a little bit scary in this recipe, I already made the circuits, remember, we don't have to make any more circuits. It is, where is it? Where'd it go? These guys, the HSEE rounds. If I go down here, we can see just how slow they are, because I think they're crafting right now. Yeah, this is at IV. These guys right here are currently consuming, what, 32,000 RF each times 8, 250,000 RF per tick to make them this fast. I mean, it's gonna get done pretty soon. Like, they're all distributed and it's fast, but it's still a little scary. Do I dare order the compressor while the other guy's still working? I think I do dare, because some of the stuff's going to be working fast and in parallel, and it's another 150 of these rounds or so. Okay, this might take a couple minutes and a couple minutes longer because I'm crafting them in parallel, but you know, we'll be okay. This assembling machine is currently crafting up its last 6 motors to make these 2 things right here. However, it seems as though the compressor has beat the assembling machine to the punch. We now have a singularity compressor, and it's ZPM, so we're going to have to find a new way to power that, because we do not have a ZPM line. The highest we have is LUV, and I think that's right here. Yep. And I kind of missed it finishing because it took just so long to do, but we have an advanced assembling machine 6 ZPM tier. And what I'm going to do, I think, is just shove this guy maybe right here and put some 16x Endurian cable down, and we can put all our ZPM stuff right here, because I don't expect to have a lot of it, at least for a while. For now, we'll probably only have maybe 8 machines on here, and most of them will be dedicated to running like almost never. Oh, one of the other things that changed since last episode, I replaced all of the conduits in the base with superconducting conduits, which transfer 134 million RF per tick, essentially, per connection. So, like, we're not being limited by power by any means. The reason I decided to do superconducting cables now, even though they're a little bit expensive for me at the moment, is because I'd rather do them now and get the hour and a half long process that it takes to change them out throughout the entire base, because it's like 1,500 conduits. And remember, I have been hiding my conduits, not down here as much, but upstairs, hiding my conduits at least through walls and stuff, and they're kind of hard to get to. So, you know, just doing that process now has saved me a fair bit of time in the future when maybe I would have to replace 3,000 conduits or 4,000 conduits, even though, you know, it took some time and was a little expensive. We're in a good place now. Next things next, let's look at the tier 6 microminer actually this time. First thing we're going to have to do for that is make a little bit of this Endurium heavy plating. And where did I put that? It's over here. There it is. I just need to put that in here, and we can go ahead and order just a little bit of it, just to get the quest done. And it shouldn't take too long, right? No, okay, it's actually fairly fast. I mean, it's using 400,000 RF per tick, but, you know, it's a little fast. Like it says here, we're going to want dragon eggs from this primarily because we want to set up some automation to make the sterilized growth medium, which are, well, this needs, what am I saying? We're going to need sterilized growth medium to make draconic stem cells. These draconic stem cells are used to make the next tier circuit boards. These next tier circuit boards can be used to make tier 6s from basically nothing. We're also going to need system on a chip, but we can set that up in a little bit. And it's also used for the higher tier 7, and I think this is used to make stuff that comes later. And it turns out we're actually ready to craft this thing. I have all the recipes in here. I mean, I put this recipe in here probably 3 or 4 episodes ago just to like get it out of the way. But I guess we can just press start, and it might take a little bit of while. It might take a little bit of time, but it's crafting, and that's a great thing. Okay, so this tier 6 guy has been stuck doing this for a long time. I know it's processing it because it's, it's done a couple already. However, let's go ahead and upgrade that IV alloy smelter like 8-fold into a ZPM one. And I should basically just be able to craft it almost instantly because I have both of the tier 7 processor arrays already. And oh, that feels nice. Okay, ZPM this guy, and I'll set it up right over here. And we can grab all of our microminer core recipes and shove them into that guy. So like this and this. We can also grab this, and is there any others? Doesn't appear so. So let's go ahead and throw them in here in an interface, and we should be good to go. And just like that, we have a tier 6 microminer. And that is a quest complete. Also, let's go ahead and look at tier 7 really quickly. It looks like I haven't put in the recipe yet. So let's encode some patterns to send this guy off on his trip for probably dragon eggs. So I went ahead and encoded our recipes in our packagers and unpackagers, and it looks like we just can't make dragon layer data. So how do we make dragon layer data? I think it's just a fairly simple crafting recipe. Yeah, I think we can already make Impossible Realm. However, we're turning Impossible Realm into Wither Realm right now. So let's turn it into Dragon Layer. I guess that should probably be encoded down in here. And Dragon Layer just like that, just like that. And I'll throw it in my assemblers once again. I went ahead and added 30 more molecular assemblers for a total of 84. These, filled up pretty quickly. I didn't expect to use this many in this pack, but a lot of these are going to get emptied as soon as we get the creative tank. So we should be able to remove a couple pretty soon. However, now we should be able to put this guy in here and request some dragon eggs, and it'll just kind of do its task. And it should be fairly quickly. We should be able to go watch our guy up there go to work. And I need to go outside and come over here. And he's doing his thing. Ooh, I forgot to check the energy requirement. This could be bad. It looks like we're keeping up. We should be good. It looks like our guy finished his mission. We got his items, however, his body is nowhere to be found. But we do have some dragon eggs now, so we can put these to good use. In order to put those dragon eggs to good use, we're going to need a little bit of raw growth medium, and that requires mincemeat and distilled water. Those are both things we don't have, so let's go ahead and get some mincemeat. We have two options, essentially. Raw chicken or raw mutton. They're both the same, essentially. I think I'll probably just spawn in chickens. For that, we're going to need a powered spawner, and I'm going to craft that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, listen up. Which one of you would like to be cloned and then punished for eternity? Doesn't that sound great, dude? Yeah, you're listening. You're coming with me. Oh man, if I could have a time in a bottle for one thing, it would be this. Why are you so slow? Whoever set this up must have been a monster, making the chickens kill themselves like this. Who could do that? They're really not killing themselves fast enough. Come on, guys. Go into the spikes. Come on. Come on. Go over there. Go over there. Okay, that's a lot better. Good job. Putting their sacrifice to use, we can now just about make the growth medium that we need. So we're pulverizing the chicken right here. Let me go ahead and supply it, because it should be auto pulling in, right? Did I set this up wrong? Hold on. Import. Oh wait, am I outputting top? I am outputting top. There we go. Now it's making the mincemeat. The mincemeat's going into here, and this is just distilling water to use in the reaction. Now I need to auto output the fluid into a fluid heater, and this needs a circuit of 1, which I can do very easily because I have 44 of them. Okay, perfect. And this distills very quickly into sterilized growth medium. Let's go ahead and shove this into, I think I'm going to use a fairly large tank. Do we have anything in all of these? Nothing's in this one, and we can store 450,000 millibuckets of sterilized growth medium. Okay, perfect. I don't think we're going to have any issue creating this stuff. In fact, I think having a big enough backlog like this might be quite overkill. This is the slowest step in the process, so if I want to upgrade this, I can just add a couple more advanced chemical reactors. I'm also going to go ahead and set up an ender tank of this stuff just to keep inside of our... hold on. Inside of our, where is it? Oh, these guys, the assembling machines. They need it in a couple recipes, so let's go ahead and set it up. And this should be just about fine. I might need to move the fluid input hatches around though, or I guess I'm mostly making processors in here. Let's go ahead and just shove it in this one. And it looks like we're good to go. The next step is going to require an LUV chemical reactor. We need to start cracking these stem cells, or these dragon eggs, into stem cells. Also, since I can, I might go ahead and send off another dragon egg mission right about now. And it looks like we can do it. It'll take some time, but it's good to go. And now we'll have 64 eggs to turn into 64 times 64 stem cells. It's like 700 or something, isn't it? Who really cares? Where's my LUV line? Is this LUV? That's IV. This is IV. This is IV. This is LUV. Okay, right here. This is where we want to do it. So let's go ahead and shove this right here and begin. We need to put the growth medium in here. And there we go. Fully set up. And you might notice in the upper left corner, it's running, slowly might be putting it lightly, but I'm going to say slowly. I might half die of old age before this thing finishes one process. However, I guess it's fully automated, kind of, so it's fine. I believe it takes 300 seconds to do one operation, so we're going to be here for a while. And before you ask, no, I'm not going to run it LUV because I don't want to literally cannibalize all of my power overhead for one machine. So I'm going to let this run overnight. In fact, I just went ahead and ordered another stack of dragon eggs, and I calculated it out. This thing will take approximately 10 2/3 hours to get through 2 stacks of dragon eggs. It'll make 8,000 draconic stem cells in that time. However, that's a hefty amount of time. So, since we're waiting, and since this also takes a very long time, as I'm getting draconic stem cells, I want to be creating these Wetware circuit boards. So, let's go ahead and start setting up a process for this. And here is the other chemical reactor we're going to use to get the Wetware circuit boards. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just supplying the draconic stem cells and the multi-layer fiber reinforced circuit boards. Those things are quite a mouthful, and then I'm using a limited item filter to pull out and shove into here so it only keeps that much in stock. And also, yes, we did finally get our first process, and we're about to get our second one. Isn't that crazy? Only 10 hours and 0.6 left in the crafting of what's only in this machine right here. Okay, it's fine. We're about to get our first Wetware, and I think I'm probably just going to go ahead and store this in a drawer. Wait, how many of these do we need? So we need them for the tier 6s, so we're going to need a couple at least. Like, we don't need that many of these tier 6s, and we need 2 for this, and we need 8 for this. So I'll probably store, or well, we need 4 for this, and we need 2 more. So we need 6 for this, and we need like 1.5 for this. I'll probably store maybe 8 stacks if I can. Or should I just go for... Hold on. This is fully automated. This is fully automated. Epoxy resin is fully automated. We should be fine. I'm just going to try and fill up an entire drawer, and we'll see what happens. And there is our first Wetware circuit board. Let's go ahead and shove it in here, and then make this guy auto output. Also, I'm going to pump out the bottom into a trash can because I don't think 3 buckets of raw growth medium is worthwhile to keep around. I'm creating it much faster than the 300 seconds it takes to make like one of these guys. So it uses 4, gives me 3 back. I don't really care. Okay, I think it's time to probably go to sleep and let all this stuff run overnight. So far, I've gotten 7 Wetware circuit boards, and it's been like 20 more minutes. I was just kind of looking at recipes, thinking about like tier 10 microminers and stuff, and we might be more than a couple episodes away from this. However, it's all like within grasp. We're gonna automate the warp engine at the end of this episode, so we should be well on our way towards like sending off some high tier rockets very, very soon. Okay, it's been somewhere around 15 hours since this guy started doing his job initially, and we have 439 wetwares. That's actually not that bad. That might be enough to get us pretty far towards the end of the pack. However, I did have to order more dragon eggs, and we have this machine full with a little bit of excess in here and a bunch excess in here, because we're going to need these for other things. Actually, if we make some draconium or awakened draconium, we can make celestial manipulators. However, I don't need that right now. I'm going to pin it just so we can use it later. So what we want to do is do not that recipe. We want to do this recipe. We're going to need the advanced dislocator. We're going to need the advanced dislocator to make, to make the warp engine. And the warp engine is used in the tier 7 and above microminers. However, to make the warp engine, we're going to need something very special. And that thing is called dark solarium. Dark solarium is, I think saying a little expensive would be putting it too lightly. It's an incredibly expensive alloy. It uses tritium, which is deuterium, at a 4-to-1 ratio, and if you remember correctly, we're turning deuterium in, what is it called? Hydrogen into deuterium at a 50-to-1 ratio. So this isn't very efficient right now. However, we can get deuterium from the Lunar mining station. We're going to have to make another one of those. Also, I've set up this array of 10 more blast furnaces, so we should, I'm going to say this lightly, but I think it's going to be true this time, we should have enough blast furnaces to finish the pack now. And I think all of this right here in my inventory, bar a couple of items here and there, is the stuff that I need to go to the moon, once again, and create 2 more lunar mining stations. And then there were 3. We're going to eventually have 4, but for now, 3 is what we're going to have. So these 2 are going to make deuterium. However, to do that, we're going to need to supply this thing with the deuterium rovers. And those are pretty easy. Once again, we're going to be supplying the rovers with crafting cards, which is kind of stupid. However, I'm fairly certain this craft will never fail. And once again, it has a 10% chance of being used. So once this thing fills up, we'll essentially never have to fill it again. So we should be good. And now that I've set up all the dimensional transceivers, we should be able to see that this thing is processing. And hopefully it's not losing energy because I'm using the same energy, or the same energy transceiver for each one. But I think this thing can transfer at least a couple thousand, maybe a couple 100,000. So in a bit, we'll have our first batch of deuterium. I am seconds away, I believe, from getting my first blast of deuterium in this ender tank. And if we don't run this at LUV, I'm scared that we're not going to be able to keep up, or at least it's going to run slowly. So we're going to run it at LUV. And I need to shove this into, item, fluid. So shove this into just probably a normal tank. I don't think we're going to get that much of this. Or perhaps, do we have any extra tanks here? Nah, we're going to shove it into a normal tank for now. I can upgrade this later if I want to. And I'm going to wait. And there it is. The machine is working. And it's working so fast. Is it? Oh, this thing's actually slightly faster than it can work. That makes me happy. And we already have 11 buckets of tritium. We get how much of this? We get 48 millibuckets, and this is a what to what? It is a 4-to-1 ratio, so we'll get 12 buckets, so 24 buckets every time it runs through a cycle. That's 24 dark solarium approximately every 10 minutes. That's not the worst thing in the world. Next, we just have to set up the blast furnace. There is one little baby automation I had to set up before I did that. I need solarium, and I'm not going to use a crafting card for it because I feel like we might need a lot of it. So I'm crafting it passively, just like this, with an auto crafter. And, it does the thing that auto crafters do, and shoving it into an alloy smelter right here. Okay, it's storage bus, so we should just be able to access it anytime, anywhere. And here is our blast furnace. Yeah, I'm using the newly implemented invisible coils. They work really fast. You can't even see the machine turn on, you know. It's pretty cool. I'm actually just waiting for the superconducting coils to craft up because they're incredibly slow because they have to be run through the vacuum freezer over here. And this thing is, I think it's running at double IV, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. Hold on. I have made a mistake. I can upgrade this machine. Oh man, that is necessary. I think this is a remnant of the time when I didn't have like any power and I was like really scraping the bottom of the barrel to get things done. But now, wait, nope, that's an IV energy input hatch. Nope, this thing is running at, what, LUV? Yeah, no, it's just not very fast. Oops, sorry. And there we go. Is this actually, I think this might be our first superconducting coil blast furnace because the only superconducting coil blocks we're using right now are in the fusion reactor. At least I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think the only ones that it'd have would be down here, and we're not using any down here. So let's go ahead and put these in and get the first batch of dark solarium started up. Also, notable, this process must run at LUV, which means it is going to forever take a 128,000 RF chunk out of my energy. However, it runs not too slow. It's like 60 seconds per, which isn't bad. It should run slightly slower than my my tritium production actually. So we'll have a backlog of tritium and a backlog of deuterium. And directly next to our biggest, baddest blast furnace in the system, we have a it's something. It's making me fluxed electrum, and ooh, why am I not doing too hot on lumium or signalum? What's going on here? It appears as though I have storage buses on mechanical crafters to grab these out of. It appears it just might be a little bit slow at doing that. So I think we'll be okay. It makes 9 at a time and it uses 1 of each of those. We'll be fine. But yeah, this guy's he's a little boy. He's using copper nickel coil blocks, the lowest tier coil blocks, right next to just about the highest tier. But you know, they're kind of cute together. They look nice next to each other. Yeah, nice couple. Oh, by the way, I think I forgot to mention, this is how we're doing the empowering now. I tore out all the stuff upstairs, and this combination crafter, or the crafting core from Extended Crafting, does the exact same thing. It's noted in JEI. I just don't think I was able to make it at the time when I set up the empowers. Yeah, it doesn't have an input limit, so this thing is extremely fast at what it does. So, you know, we're doing fine and dandy. I don't need to set up like any crazy automation for palace crystals or something like that. Oh, hello, little bats. Would you like to get in the jar? Please get in the jar. I need 4 of you, and you are going to be cloned forever, just like the chickens. Just like the chickens. Don't you love that? And then you're going to get shoved into these flight control units to help me with things. I just found out you can put these compressed capacitors into machines. So this should go dummy fast now, and it uses 8,000 RF per tick. Oh my goodness. And go. Okay, it's still really slow, but it's so much faster. I've recently torn down a bunch of machines over here, so why don't we set our mat entrapment machine up over here. Also, the reason I'm making these flight control units is because they're used for the dark solarium thruster, which again is used for the warp engine, so we're going to need to get them done. So perhaps wanting 4 spawners for this was a little bit unnecessary, because I think I'm going to make these on demand. They don't... Okay, so it's 75,000, and this does 4,000 a tick. It takes like 8 seconds to make it. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm spawning bats in here with a soul capture thingy. It takes some amount of energy to do that. It automatically pushes into here if it can, and because this can only hold 1 item at a time, it is, well, it's not filling up, and we can just have this system continuously work. And then once this goes over to here, it is being pushed back into here using the push thing. And since this inventory can only accept the soul vials, that works perfectly fine too. And then I'm extracting out of here to get the flight control unit with a filter into here, so I don't extract any soul vials from the system. The interface itself will push the empty flight control unit into here, and it should just work. Now let's go ahead and order one. I should have everything I need to make one of these. And what should happen is it should craft, then it should get shoved into here, and then it should pull levels from this tank like it can, and it appears as though it's not. Interesting. That's quite simply because this isn't connected. It looks like I might have not put a conduit here, and that's exactly what happened. And it makes it, wow, that took actually like, wait, no, 8,000 or 4,000 per tick. That's like less than a second to make it. Okay, so now we have our first flight control unit. Now we can start making these thrusters, I think. However, those flight control units are not the end of our woes. I made another ZPM assembler here, so the recipe that we have to do next will run a little bit faster. So what we're going to need is an interface. We're going to need a fluid interface to put glowstone into this thing. Interesting, right? We need to make these glowstone elevation units, and they take a long time, but at like not a crazy power level, so we can run it at a super high power level and it'll take less time. So we can do this on demand instead of having to like, you know, craft it all the time, because I'm scared my glowstone supplies won't hold up. Let's go ahead and put a fluid interface on the side right here, and I'm gonna need a bucket of glowstone. You know what, let me go ahead and set this up off camera and I'll be right back. And this is essentially the gist of it. We're supplying the glowstone, pumping it into here, and an interface will supply the items, and they'll be exported directly back into the ME system. Let's go ahead and order one and see what it takes. What is this called? Elevation unit. Let's go ahead. What is making these appear with me searching up unit? Elevation unit. Here we go. And craft. Now, this thing turns on, and it looks like it's really slow, but that's not an unnecessary amount of time when the craft that we're doing will involve all this kind of other stuff, especially if this machine is this is the only thing that this machine is doing. So I think we'll be quite all right if we craft them on demand. Okay, so I just had to upgrade our autoclave setup because it can't run higher tier recipes like the flux crystal. This has to be run at 400 per tick. I think we were running it at 128 per tick. Now we're running it at 8,000 per tick, so you know, we should be good for the rest of the pack. And this thing is filtered and ready to go. I've gone ahead and just thrown in a couple recipes that we didn't have, and remember, we're trying to make the warp engines to make the tier 7 microminers, and the only things we don't have ready to go yet are the advanced dislocators, and this is an infusion crafting recipe. So let's go ahead and go on and do some infusion crafting. Remember how I set this up a couple episodes ago? Yeah, it has changed slightly in order to handle multiple recipes of different types at the same time. Also, I'm going to have probably like 6 to 8 to 9 of these eventually, but for right now, we are going to handle 2. This is the only one that's actually set up right now. This one still needs a little bit of redstone wiring. So what I'm doing here, essentially, is reading if there's an item in the Infusion crafting interface. It lets off a redstone signal when there is something in there, and that item will send a redstone signal over here into this redstone conduit. Because this outputs a weak signal, we need to repeat it so it'll be strong enough to get there. And what that does is it starts the infusion using another redstone conduit right there, and it supplies this redstone dot right here with power, which turns off this extract interface. So you see it says extract without signal. So when it does have a signal, it can't extract. This interface is on blocking mode, so it'll only put one recipe in at a time, and I think, if not 100% of the time, almost 100% of the time, there will be absolutely no problems running it like this. There's actually only one filter on this entire system, and that is in the center. We're filtering what items are allowed to go in the center and then setting it to a super high priority, so it tries to put every single item into the center before it tries to shove it into the sides. This should essentially ensure that the middle item will always end up in the middle, because it'll try to put it there before it tries to put it on one of these guys, even if there's empty pedestals there. So what we should be able to do, and this is an 8-part recipe, so it should showcase this behavior fairly well. I think I have it all set up, and we should just be able to order a dislocator, just like that. And everything should be in, it just needs to do a little bit of crafting, and you see, it should fire. And it's not firing, it's making me look stupid. What's wrong here? Oh, that's interesting. It worked exactly how it was supposed to work, except the pedestal tier is too low. So we're going to have to upgrade these fusion crafting injectors to chaotic tier. Sorry, not chaotic tier, draconic tier, and that doesn't require too much. We have some dragon eggs and we have the wyvern fusion crafting injectors, so let's go ahead and order these. I'll set in the recipe and we can watch them go. And now we should be able to order them. Let's order 10 of them so we can replace everything for this. And it looks like I have everything available. I was testing some stuff earlier in this system, and I actually ended up creating 20 Wyvern cores. So let's see if this works. And there we go. It's running. So upgrading the tier is actually very beneficial, and I'm going to get away from that snapping just a little bit so I can talk. The tier not only allows it to do higher tier recipes, it also makes it run a lot faster. As you can see, this is running a lot faster than the basic Fusion and Crafters, or Fusion injection crafter thingy does. So we might want to upgrade, say, 40 of these to the chaotic or the draconic tier, just so we can set up more of them in the future, like this one. Okay, a couple of minutes later, and we now have the Draconic Fusion Crafting Injectors, and we should essentially just be able to replace these guys right here, and that is not where I clicked you. We should just be able to replace them, and it should work just fine in the exact same way. Seriously? Come on, dude. It should work in the exact same way that it did before. Okay. Are you... Okay, I'm gonna do this alone. Alright, a little more struggle than expected with the block placing thing. I guess it's not my strong suit, but now we have the Chaotic Fusion Crafting Injectors. Also, I made a slight change to the system, so the one that I explained before is now less valid, I suppose. So what I'm doing, instead of doing it the way I was, only a very slight change here, I'm extracting from this side on a separate channel into the, or like it's on a separate like subnet of the conduit net into here. So this can only extract the center item into here. We were running into a problem where in the interface would put the center item in last, so it would try to extract the center item last and put it in here, in which time, as it was like doing the transfer and detecting the item in the center, there was no valid recipe, so this thing wasn't like starting. It wasn't starting its like crafting cycle, so it would allow more items on the outside to get put in. Also, I need to turn these into active or single item mode active, because if you're not on item mode active or single item mode active, you're gonna have a bad time. Also, hopefully I explained that fairly, like, decently. These things are a little hard to automate, but you know, it's very possible, and there's a million different ways to do it. So, now that we have the chaotic tier, let's go ahead and order a couple of these. It should be fairly simple to do, and we should see that it works just fine. We do not see that it works just fine. That's my own fault. I forgot to turn this to blacklist. I forgot to also add we are filtering both, or only, I guess technically we're filtering both extracts. We're filtering this to blacklist the items in the center and filtering this to whitelist them. So we should have no issues with crafting now. And this thing is a lot faster. It also might just be because it's a simple recipe, but I want to keep one of these for myself so we can get around our base a little bit faster. And it's done. Okay, and now we should see it in the system and the advanced dislocator. Okay, this thing is really cool. You can feed it ender pearls and you can just like choose to teleport to places. So now you can see that I've set a teleport for this IV, LUV, ZPM, whatever, like our downstairs portion, and I set it over there on that, the elevator or whatever it's called, and we should just be able to like run all the way over here and then right click, and it takes us right back. So this will be a much faster way to get around our base, and a much less annoying way to get around our base than doing like, ME terminals, HV automation, where's outside, there it is. Okay, I'm done now. I'm gonna finish automating stuff. Actually, it seems like that might have been the end of our automation. We can now make the warp engine. So let's go ahead and craft one, make sure everything works just fine and nothing gets stuck, but I don't think we're gonna have any problems. This fusion crafting process is really quick now with the chaotic, I keep saying chaotic, the draconic ones. We can make the chaotic soon, but we can't do it right now. And just look how fast that percentage goes up. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm setting in a couple more recipes. I think the warp engine did fine. Yep, we made the warp engine just fine. I need to set in 2 more recipes and we will be good to go to make the tier 7s. And the first one of those recipes is the Ender Energy Manipulator. I had to make one to set the recipe because it contains, I believe, 11 or 12 items. However, you know, we're good to go. I just need to go shove it into the interface over here. And where is it? There it is. Sometimes they're invisible. Don't know why. Now we should be able to order one just fine. It looks like we're missing black steel. It might be time to set up an automation for black steel. I've just been batch crafting it from now. Let's go ahead and set up a blast furnace for it. And there it is, the blast furnace that I've been dreading to set up for a million years, and it's actually just fast, you know. I'm gonna stock 2,000 black steel, and we'll be good to go. And we already have 100. It literally makes a black steel like per second, so it's fairly quick at IV. And now we can order that Ender Energy Manipulator, and it should pop in right here in just a moment. Hello? Why don't you do your thing, please, for the people? Oh, it has a lot of crafting to do. Never mind. Okay, guys, I've been putting in recipes here and there, and it appears as though we're going to have a little bit more work to do before we're ready to send off the Tier 7. However, I don't have any more time today, so I'm going to have to end this episode here. And I'm sorry, we'll start the next episode right off with sending out one of those Tier 7 rockets. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, maybe leave a like or something. Who knows? Have a fantastic day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.